Okay, so you're thinking about reading The Fellowship of the Ring,
Yeah.
but maybe not sure if it's going to be worth all that time.
It's a big one.
It is a big commitment. That's what we're here for today,
Hmm.
to help you figure out if a deep dive into Middle-earth is really for you.
That's right. And I'll tell you right off the bat, The Fellowship of the Ring, it's rewarding,
Yeah.
but it might not be for everyone.
Okay.
If you're looking for like really fast-paced action and you want your characters to be super complex,
Right. Right.
good, Andy, bad, all that,
Shades of Grey.
you might find it a little bit slow
Yeah.
or even a little simplistic.
Okay.
But if you love immersive world building, epic storytelling, and that classic battle of good versus evil,
Yeah.
then Tolkien's masterpiece will absolutely transport you.
It's a classic for a reason.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we're talking maybe a mixed bag depending on what you're looking for as a reader.
Definitely.
You mentioned the pacing being a potential issue.
Yes.
I've heard that from other people too,
Yeah,
especially
sure.
people who are more used to modern fantasy novels.
Oh, absolutely. It's true. The early chapters, they can feel slow.
Yeah.
But Tolkien,
Okay.
he had a reason for that.
Okay.
You see, he was this scholar of language and history,
Right.
and his world building, it
Right.
was meticulous. I mean,
Yeah.
it's reflected in every part of his narrative.
Right.
For example, he
Yeah.
created entire languages for his elves and dwarves,
Wow.
complete with grammar and history.
That's dedication.
And that detail-oriented approach,
Yeah.
it really influences how that story unfolds.
Wow, that's fascinating. But I can also see how that would translate into a lot of description and exposition,
Yes.
which might not be for everyone. What about the content itself?
Sure.
Does it hold up for like a modern audience?
So Tolkien's work,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely timeless in the way it explores
Okay.
those universal themes, right? Good versus evil, courage, and friendship.
But you're right. Some of those characterizations, they can feel a little simplistic,
Okay.
especially when you look at that really stark divide between good and bad.
Yeah, I think a lot of modern fantasy readers
Right.
are kind of used to more morally ambiguous characters.
Yeah.
Like, you think of, like, Game of Thrones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's what I think is interesting. Tolkien actually disliked
Okay.
heavy-handed allegory.
Oh, okay.
He believed that good and evil exist in the real world.
Interesting.
And that's exactly how it's reflected in his characters.
Okay.
And while some of them, yeah, they might seem one-dimensional at first,
I can see that.
they often, I think, reveal
Yeah.
kind of these hidden depths.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Take Boromir, for instance. He's a great example.
Okay.
He's a noble warrior.
Mm.
But he's tempted by the ring's power.
Right.
And I think his internal struggle adds a layer of complexity
Yeah.
that goes way beyond that simple good guy, bad guy trope.
Yeah.
It's not just about the external battle,
Right.
but the internal conflicts as well.
Exactly.
That makes the characters relatable.
Absolutely. Tolkien's characters, they face real temptations and real moral dilemmas,
Right.
even if that overall framework of good and evil is clear.
Yeah.
And we can't forget about the hobbits.
Of course not.
They represent that ordinary person
Yeah.
thrust into these extraordinary circumstances. They
Yeah.
remind us that even the smallest acts of courage
Right.
can make a difference.
That's a great point. I think that's something that a lot of readers can really connect with,
Yeah,
regardless of their preference for complex characters.
absolutely.
What about the world itself?
Sure.
Middle-earth. Is it really as captivating as people say?
Middle-earth is, I would argue, Tolkien's greatest achievement.
Okay.
It's a living, breathing world. It has its own history, mythology, even languages, like we were talking about earlier.
Right.
For example, the Council of Elrond,
Mm-hmm.
where representatives from all the different races of Middle-earth come together
Yeah.
to decide the fate of the ring.
Right.
It's a masterclass in world building.
I see.
Tolkien doesn't just tell you about this council, he immerses you in it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He reveals the unique cultures and perspectives of each race.
Okay. I'm sold. Now I want to grab a map of Middle-earth and start exploring.
Please do.
But how does it compare to other classic fantasy worlds like Narnia?
Okay,
I mean, they both deal with good and evil,
sure.
but what sets Fellowship apart?
So while Narnia is wonderful,
Yeah.
Tolkien's approach, I think, is just different.
Okay.
Narnia is more allegorical
Right.
with clear parallels to Christian themes.
Right.
But Middle-earth
Yeah.
is rooted in mythology and linguistics.
Okay.
It feels ancient
Right.
layered. Like you're uncovering this lost history.
So Narnia is like a beautiful tapestry, and Middle-earth is like an archaeological dig,
Yeah, I like that.
full of all these fascinating artifacts and hidden depths.
Absolutely. Yeah, and speaking of hidden depths,
Mm-hmm.
one thing about the Fellowship of the Ring that often gets overlooked
Yeah.
is the influence of Tolkien's Catholic faith.
Oh, interesting. I mean, I know he was a devout Catholic,
Yes.
but I never really thought about how that might have actually shaped the story.
It's subtle,
Okay.
but it is definitely there.
Okay.
For example, the
Yeah.
concept of eucatastrophe,
Hmm.
which Tolkien actually coined himself.
Oh.
It's central to the book.
Okay.
It refers to this
Mhm.
sudden, unexpected turn of events
Right.
that lead to a happy ending,
Oh, okay.
often through divine intervention.
So like a miracle.
Exactly.
Okay.
You see this
Yeah.
all throughout the Fellowship of the Ring.
Interesting.
Think about Gandalf's return
Mhm.
after his battle with the Balrog,
Okay.
or
Yeah.
the Eagles, arriving just in time to save Frodo and Sam
Right.
from Mount Doom.
Right.
These moments of eucatastrophe, they give the story this real sense of hope.
Okay, yeah.
And it suggests that even in like the darkest of times,
Yeah.
good can ultimately triumph.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's like a subtle undercurrent of faith
Yeah.
running through the whole narrative.
Absolutely.
But doesn't that
Yeah.
make the story kind of predictable?
Sure.
If good always wins in the end, then where's the suspense?
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
And it's something that critics have debated for years.
Interesting.
But I think the suspense comes from the journey itself,
Okay.
not necessarily the destination.
Right.
We know that Frodo has to reach Mordor,
Yeah.
but the path there,
Yeah.
it's just full of danger and uncertainty. You know, we're
Yeah.
constantly worried about whether he'll make it,
Right.
whether the Fellowship will stay together,
Right.
whether the forces of evil will prevail.
So it's more about the struggle than the outcome.
Exactly.
And speaking of struggles, one
Yeah.
thing that always struck me
Mhm.
about Fellowship
Yeah.
is just the sheer amount of walking they do.
Oh, absolutely.
A hiking epic.
It's a hiking epic. But I think that's part of Tolkien's genius.
Okay.
You know, he wanted to convey
Mm-hmm.
just how vast Middle-earth is.
Right.
And the physical and emotional toll
Yeah.
that the journey takes on the characters.
Yeah.
It's not just like a quick jaunt over to Mordor.
Right, right.
It's a grueling,
Yeah.
life-altering experience.
Okay, so it's a slow burn,
Mm-hmm.
but a rewarding one.
Right.
But what about those people
Yeah.
who find that whole quest narrative a bit cliche?
Okay.
You know, the chosen one,
Mm-hmm.
the evil artifact,
Right.
the band of heroes.
Right.
Haven't we seen that all before?
Of course. I mean, those elements are very common in fantasy.
Yeah.
But Tolkien didn't invent them. You know, he drew on classic mythology,
Wow.
folklore,
Yeah.
and he wove them
Mhm.
into something new and compelling.
Yeah.
And let's not forget that the Fellowship of the Ring
Right.
was groundbreaking for its time.
Right.
It set the stage for modern fantasy
Mhm.
as we know it.
Right. It's like the original blueprint
Exactly.
that all these other fantasy authors have kind of built on.
That's a great way to put it. And I think that's why
Yeah.
it continues to resonate with readers today.
Yeah.
You know, it's the foundation of a genre we love.
Right.
And it's filled with these timeless themes and archetypes that speak to something
Yeah.
deep within us.
All right. So we've talked about the pacing,
Yeah.
the content,
Mhm.
the world building.
Right.
But for someone who's never actually read Fellowship,
Okay.
what's the one thing you would want them to know going in?
I would say
Yeah.
go in with an open mind
Okay.
and a sense of adventure. Don't expect fast-paced action
Right.
or morally ambiguous characters.
Okay.
Embrace the slow burn.
Yes.
Savor those descriptions and just let yourself be transported to this world unlike any other.
That's great advice. It's about immersing yourself in the experience,
Yeah,
not just racing to the finish line.
exactly.
So, final verdict
Okay.
is The Fellowship of the Ring, a must-read for every fantasy fan.
I would say it is a must-read for anyone who wants to understand
Okay.
the roots of modern fantasy and experience a truly immersive world.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for something fast-paced or edgy,
Right.
it might not be the best fit.
Sure.
Ultimately, the best way to know if it's for you
Yeah.
is to give it a try.
All right. Fair enough. It sounds like a book that can be deeply rewarding,
Yeah,
but it's not going to be for everyone.
of course.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to break it all down for us today.
My pleasure.
I think our listener has a much better idea of whether the Fellowship of the Ring
Yeah,
is the right adventure for them.
absolutely.
Okay, so we've explored Fellowship,
Yeah,
weighed the pros and cons.
right.
Hopefully you listening out there have a better idea of whether or not this is a journey you want to take.
Yes,
What if you're already hooked?
right.
What if you want to, like,
Yeah.
delve even deeper into Tolkien's world?
Oh, you're in luck. There's so much out there for you to explore,
Yeah.
like Tolkien-related material.
Yeah.
I would recommend checking out the Silmarillion.
Okay,
It's Tolkien's prequel to The Lord of the Rings,
right.
and it really digs deep
heard that.
into the creation myths and ancient history
Mhm.
of Middle-earth.
So it's kind of like behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Middle-earth.
It's a little denser
Okay.
than Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But if you're fascinated by Tolkien's world building,
Right.
it's an absolute treasure trove.
Yeah.
You'll learn about the origins of the elves, dwarves, the rise of Sauron,
Wow.
and so much more.
Okay.
It really adds a lot of depth and context
Yeah.
to everything you encounter in Fellowship.
Okay. Silmarillion. It's going on my reading list.
It should.
What about people who prefer
Yeah.
a more visual experience?
Well, Peter Jackson's film adaptations
Yes.
are visually stunning,
They are.
and they do a great job of capturing the epic scope
Right.
of the story.
Yeah.
Of course, there are some liberties taken,
Right.
as with any adaptation.
Yeah, of course.
But it's still a fantastic way
Yeah.
to experience that world.
I have to admit, the visuals in those films,
Oh, yeah.
especially those landscapes,
Mhm.
I was blown away.
Absolutely.
They did such a good job with the New Zealand
Yeah.
shots.
Yes.
It really brought Tolkien's vision to life.
Oh, I agree.
Did those scenes, like, live up to your imagination of Middle-earth?
They were pretty close.
Wow.
I mean, New Zealand is just... It's perfect. It lends itself so well
Yeah.
to Tolkien's descriptions.
Yeah.
And even if you've already read the books, I
Right.
think the films offer just a different perspective.
Right.
You know, you get to see those beloved characters come to life.
Right.
And the special effects are
Oh, they're incredible.
incredible.
Yeah.
They really are.
What about people who want to go
Oh, yeah.
beyond the films?
Okay.
Is there anything else out there
Oh, absolutely.
for the Tolkien-obsessed?
Countless resources.
Huh?
You've got online forums,
Yeah.
fan communities.
Yeah.
You can connect with other Tolkien enthusiasts,
Right.
discuss theories, share your passion.
That's cool.
Yeah, there are also scholarly articles and books
wow.
that delve into
Yeah.
the linguistic aspects of his work.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
They analyze everything
Okay.
from his use of language
Right.
to the symbolism of the ring.
It's incredible
Yeah.
how much depth there is to this world.
That's right.
More than just a story.
Yeah.
It's a whole universe.
Exactly.
Waiting to be explored.
And the best part is
Yeah.
there's something out there
Yeah.
for everyone.
That's true.
Whether you're a casual reader
Mhm.
or a lifelong fan,
Yeah.
you can read The Hobbit with your kids.
Yeah.
You can geek out over Elvish languages online.
Right.
You can even try writing your own Middle-earth fan fiction.
That's so cool.
The possibilities are endless.
It's like he's given us this
Yeah.
incredible playground of imagination.
Right.
And we can all just explore it
Yeah,
in our own way.
that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
The Fellowship of the Ring is more than just a book.
Mm.
It's a gateway
Yeah.
to a world of wonder and adventure
I love that.
and endless possibilities.
Well said. Well, that brings us to the end
Yeah.
of our deep dive into the Fellowship of the Ring.
Right.
We hope we've given you a better understanding
Yeah.
of this iconic work of fantasy,
Mm.
its strengths, its weaknesses,
Right.
and its enduring appeal.
Absolutely.
Remember, whether you decide to embark on this journey yourself,
Mm-hmm.
Tolkien's world is out there,
Yeah,
waiting to be discovered.
it is.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll even find yourself speaking Elvish along the way.
Maybe.
Until next time, keep exploring,
Yeah.
keep questioning,
Keep diving deep.
and keep diving deep.